Hello everyone, I'm Batpan, about to use this pan as his helmet. For the past couple of parts, we've been creating a start menu. We've covered how we can set up the start menu, how to create a change language function, and how to make all the buttons interactable. I was planning on making more parts about the start menu, but I found out that I was making, a lot of parts about it, and I wanted to finish it faster so you guys can actually create the function and, learn it very faster. So this video is going to be a final part. In this video, we will be creating save and load function, creating the links to my social media, but we're not going to cover resolution part because the resolution I've been using has some kind of bug, and I want to tell you guys the things that I'm 100% sure about, and it has been working for me. So the resolution part will not be set, but we're going to be creating the mouse sensitivity, the save and load of the mouse Sens, a new game and continue, and a lot of things. I try my best to make it short. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, a like would be amazing. You can subscribe to see more contents like this. Without wasting time, let's begin. Okay, first we're going to be creating the link to my social media, so I'm just going to activate all of them. This is the link to my social media. It is actually text with a raw image set as its child. We kind of did the same thing as before, so we give it an on-click event and we give it the function we created. We just give it a button. As you guys saw in the previous videos, I just clicked on this add component and say button. So when you add this, the button function will be added to it, and I just gave it color from here and not from inside the code. So when I hover over it, it's going to be pink. When I press it, it's going to be like this. When I select it, it's going to be like this. Unity also has something for that as well, so you don't have to do it all inside the code. And for the image, you can get it from Google or anywhere you want. You're just going to say, for example, download Instagram icon with transparent background. You just have to give it to your raw image. For example, when I have the raw image, I can click on here, find the picture I want. You can give it any picture you want. You can make it like this, or you give it your actual icon. So how to actually link our social media to it is actually very easy. I'm gonna go to my actual code. If you want to watch the previous video, you can click on top of your screen right now or get to with the link in the description. I'll leave a link to each one of the parts we created before in the description. So we go to our code. So under update, not inside the update, under update, not inside the update. Add a comment for link to social media. So I'm just gonna say public void, for example, YouTube link. You can name it whatever you want. I'm gonna name it YouTube link. So how we can actually go to our link, we're just gonna say application dot open URL, open and close parentheses, and you add these two, and you just put a link to your channel in here. For example, this is my YouTube channel. I put it here, and we can just check this out. We need to give our function to our YouTube button. So this is my YouTube button. We just go to this on-click event. Instead of the code controller, we will be giving it the thing we created, scene code controller, the script we have, YouTube link. This is it. We select the YouTube link. Let me go and check it out. As you guys see, when I click on this button, it's gonna open my channel on YouTube. And you can give it a link to anything you have, for example, your Instagram or Reddit or Twitter. We kind of do the same thing for every one of them. Each one of them, you can add any amount of links you want. For example, I'm just gonna say public void Instagram link. Again, you can name it whatever you want. Just gonna say application.open URL parentheses. Put the link in between these two. For example, you can give your Instagram link. This is actually a link to my Instagram. You can add for each one of them. It's public void X link, Twitter link, for example. You can say application.open URL again, and you give your Twitter link. This is my Twitter link. You can create for each one of them. For example, public void Reddit link. Again, application.open URL. Put the link here. It is like this. So I'm just gonna give the values of the buttons to these links. Select our Insta button. We give it our game object with the script that we have. So this is for the Instagram. We're just gonna look for Instagram link. This is it. We're gonna be doing it for the Reddit and Twitter. Reddit link. This is Reddit link, and one for Twitter button, X link. So this is it. Let's go and check it out. So when I press on this Reddit, it's gonna open my Reddit. As you can see, this is my Reddit. Press on this Instagram, it's gonna open up my Instagram. As you can see, this is my Instagram. And when I press on this X, it's gonna open up my Twitter. So this was for the link to my social media part. Let's go to the next part, which is the new game and the continue game. So we need a save function for that. I told you guys how you can create a save function in another video, but I'm gonna again say it in this video, so this is a completely different video. So what we need is we need to create two different new scenes. So I'm just gonna create a folder. I'm gonna call YouTube. I'm gonna create two new scenes. For the first scene, I'm just gonna say scene 1 YouTube, and I can just duplicate it and say scene 2 YouTube. So for the scene 1, we're just gonna have this. I want the text to be at the center, and I need a panel for the background. This is the background. I'm gonna make it black so you guys can actually see it. We're just gonna say, for example, this is scene 1. And we're just gonna delete this first scene again and go to the second scene. This is actually the second scene. In this scene, I'm just gonna say this is scene number 2. So what we want to do is we're going to create a button in each one of these scenes to actually, go to the next scene and, test to see if the save function actually works or not. So for example, in the scene 1, I'm going to create an empty object. I'm going to call code scene, a code that controls this scene. I'm going to create a new C# script, scene 1, YouTube, controller. This is for testing. You guys don't have to do this. What I need in here is a public void that will, actually load our next scene. So we're gonna add using Unity engine dot scene management, so we can actually load another scene. In here we're just gonna create a public void. I'm gonna call it load next scene, which is gonna load scene number 2. We're just gonna say scene manager dot load scene number 3, for example. We're gonna go to our code scene and we're gonna give it our script to actually load the scenes. I want to delete all of them. My first scene is this start menu. This one is actually my third one, or number 2, for example. This one should be my number 2. This one is gonna be number 1. I'm gonna add the start menu before this one. I'm gonna open my scene number 2 and I'm gonna build settings, add this one as well, and go to my start menu and give this one the scene as well. And I'm gonna put the start menu at first. So 0, 1, 2, 2 is actually my scene 2.YouTube. Scene number 1, we need a button to actually go to the scene number 2. So we're just gonna create a UI button. This is the button in the middle. I'm gonna put it a little bit down. And I'm gonna click on this load next scene. It's gonna load scene number 2. On click, give it the game object with the script, load next scene. So this is it. When I click on this, it's gonna say this is scene number 2. As you can see, this is scene number 2 and it loaded the next scene. So we're gonna create a save function for each one of them. Let's go to our code. This is our code. We're gonna create the functions for clicking on start menu and quitting or anything else. We actually created that in the previous video. We're just gonna create the functions in this video. So when I click on this new game, I don't want any animations in here right now, but you can add animations or anything you want to make it more beautiful, as I added in my own game. But for now, we're just gonna save and we're gonna load the next scene. We're gonna be saving using player prefs. So in here, I'm just gonna say scene manager dot load scene number 1, which is gonna be the next scene. Or if you want to add the next scene, you're just gonna say scene manager dot load scene manager dot get active scene parentheses dot build index +1. So it's gonna automatically load the next scene. I'm just gonna deactivate this because we don't need this. So when we're on the scene number 0, it's just gonna load scene number 1. And when I click on this new game, I want to reset every save that I have. As I said, I'm gonna do it inside the player pref. So I'm just gonna say player prefs dot set int, set a save here. I'm just gonna name my save. This part is important. Capital and a small version of the words is important in this. Save, for example, comma. I'm just gonna give it 0 here because we want to reset everything when we click on this new game. So it's gonna reset our save to 0. So when the next time we come into our scene, our continue click is not activated and we cannot click on it. So this resets the save. For the continue, we just want to load the scene we were last inside, scene number 2, for example. So to actually do that, we're just gonna say scene manager the load scene. For the number, we're just gonna say player prefs dot get int, and the int's name is save. So this is gonna load the last save we have. So this is gonna just save it. This is gonna load it. So let's go to our scene number 1. I'm just gonna show you the save for the language as well. For example, this is English. I will start new game. As you guys see, it loaded my first scene. So how can we actually know we're actually inside the first scene or the second scene? This one is actually very easy. You're just gonna go to your scene, open the code that we created. In the start, you're just gonna have to say, I'm just gonna say save. So this is gonna say we're in the first scene. So we're just gonna say player prefs dot set int save. The naming is important, just give it 1. So our code actually knows that we're in the first scene. We want to create the same thing for the scene number 2. So let's go to our scene number 2. Let's go to our scene number 2, create an empty object. I'm gonna say code controller, the same thing as before. We're just gonna say C# scene 2 code YouTube. Double click to open it up. Just add using Unity engine scene management up here. And let's go inside this save. We're just gonna say save. And inside we're just gonna say player prefs dot set int with the name of save, comma 2, for example. This is our scene number 2, so we're just gonna load the scene number 2. That's actually it for the save function. Just give your code to your game object, drag and drop it here. So that's for the load function. We can actually just check it out. So let's check it. When I press on this new game, it's gonna go to scene number 1, and when I press load next scene, it's on scene number 2. And the next time I press on continue, it's gonna go to scene number 2. As you guys see, it went to scene number 2, so it loaded our scene. There's gonna be a bug for when we click on this continue and we're on the start menu and we don't have any save. When I press on this continue, it's just gonna load this first scene again and again. You can fix that by deactivating the continue button or actually doing this, what I'm gonna do now. You can just say if player prefs that get int with the tag of save is not equal to 0. So whenever the save is actually not equal to 0, we can actually load a scene. If it is actually equal to 0, we cannot load a scene. I just want to, make my player prefs equal to 0 at the start. So when we don't have a save, so we can simulate when we don't have a save. I'm just gonna make it equal to 0. You guys don't have to do this part. This is for testing to let you guys know what it is. When we don't have a save and we press on this continue, it's not gonna do anything. Or there's actually another way of doing when you want to not be able to press on continue. You can deactivate the continue button. It's actually very easy. You can just do it inside the start. I'm just gonna create a new button so it's not using public button. I'm gonna call it continue button. And in here we're just gonna say if player prefs that get int with the name of save is actually equal to 0. So we don't have any save. We just want the button to be deactivated. So we say continue button dot enabled is equal to false. You can just activate it by saying else. Continue button that enabled is equal to true, or you can activate it in the editor. I'm just gonna, again do this for the sake of the tutorial. Don't do this. I'm just gonna say test. I'm gonna up here, just gonna say player prefs that set int. I'm gonna reset the save. You guys don't have to do this part. I'm just gonna show you that the continue button will be deactivated. We're just gonna have to give it the continue button. Scene controller, this is the continue button, we're just gonna give it. And one more thing before that, because we created this, when we hover over the continue, its color is gonna change. We need a boolean to actually see if it is actually activated or not. So we're just gonna create a boolean can press continue, which is actually equal to true by default. And if we cannot press on this, we're just gonna say can press continue is actually equal to false if you cannot press on the continue. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna go down here. When we say continue color in, we're just gonna say if can press continue is equal to true, we can just change the colors. If we can actually press it, we can do this. Do the same thing for continue color out. So this is it. To actually being able to press it, we're just gonna say can press connect equal to true. Instead of enabling or disabling it, you can just say continue button dot interactable is equal to false, that you cannot interact with it. Say interactable equal to true. That's it. Instead of enable, just say interactable is equal to false or equal to true. It's just gonna make it deactivated. So let's go and check it out. As you guys see, this is deactivated and its color is different from anything else. But when we actually have a save file and select it, you guys see it's gonna load scene number 2. This was for the save and load of the actual menu. For the change language menu, they're just gonna say, for example, English or Portuguese. We again gonna do it in the scene number 2, for example. So let's go to our scene number 1. I want to create another text, duplicate it, put it a little bit up here. I'm just gonna say lang. To actually check this out, we're gonna go to our code where we want to set our language. Because we want to set it at the start, we're gonna do it inside the void start. But if you want to change the language or add subtitles or anything, you can do it anywhere you want. The function is gonna be the same. So I'm just gonna say language fix. Instead of accessing the save file again and again, I'm just gonna put it inside an integer so we can access it more easily. So we're just gonna say an integer. I'm gonna call it lang int, which is short for language int. I'm gonna make it equal to 0 by default, and we're gonna give it a value inside here. So lang int is equal to player prefs that get int, not set int. Be careful, this is get int with the name of language, for example. The naming is important. The capital and small are important as well. We don't have a save file for languages right now, but I'm just gonna create the function. So we're gonna make it equal to this, and this is for set language. and you can use it anywhere you want, for example inside a dialogue or inside anywhere else. If you want to actually see how you can create text partly for your dialogue, you can click on top of your screen right now or get to it with a link in the description. So we're just gonna say if lang int is actually equal to 0, for example, then we're actually typing English, so we're just gonna say English. Then we're just gonna say else if lang int is equal to 1, we want to type Portuguese. To actually test it so you guys can see that it actually works, we need to access a text file and change the text file. We're just gonna say using Unity engine .ui, and we need a text file as well. We're just gonna say public text test text. If you're actually writing English, we just want the test text to be saying this is English. And if we actually for example typing Portuguese, we're just gonna say this is Portuguese. So we actually know the save actually worked. Okay, that's it. Let's go to the code scene. It needs a text file. We can give it the language text. These are all for testing that you guys know that it actually works. Let's actually go to our start menu to actually create the function. If you've seen the change language part, which is actually part 1, which you can get to by clicking on top of your screen right now, or I have a link in the description to it. You know that we created this, which will change our language. We're just gonna go down here when we clicked on English or Portuguese. Right here, when we say change language, you go here. If we've pressed on English for anything else, we just want to set the save. So we say set, or we're just gonna say save. In here, we're just gonna say player prefs dot set integer. Be careful, this is set integer. I'm just gonna say language. Be careful about writing and give it a value of 0, comma space 0. And we can kind of do the same thing for Portuguese as well. We can just copy this and paste it here. Instead of 0, just put 1. So let's actually go and check it out. When I press on English and I press new game, as you guys see, it says this is English and this is scene 1. And when I press on Portuguese, as you guys see, this is Portuguese and this is scene 1. Now we know that the change language save also worked. The next one we're going to be working on will be settings, in which the mouse sensitivity will be saved. It's kind of just the same thing. For the UI, I'm going to choose we created in the previous videos. We're just going to go to my settings menu. So everything is now finished. We're just going to create the sensitivity for ending when it completes and for when we add half or anything. We need to go to our start menu, code that we created for social media and a lot of things. Up here, I'm just going to say settings Sens. It's going to hold the Sens value. If we have 7 buttons, we will be creating 7 public voids for different one. We're just going to say public void ms1. You can just copy it with Ctrl C and paste it ms2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Just change the names. When we press on ms1, we want only the first one to get activated. So what we're gonna do is we just want to empty all the houses first and make them all white, and again give them a value. So just gonna say reset and then value. We're just gonna say for int I equal to 0, which is gonna start from house 0. I is less or equal to 7. It starts from 0, so we have 6. I plus plus. We're just gonna say ms images house number I dot color equal to color dot white. It's actually very easy. It's inside of 4. It's gonna repeat again and again until it's finished, and we're gonna kind of do the same thing for the value. But for the value, we have only house number 1. So we're just gonna say for int I equal to 0 if I is less or equal to 0, for example, I plus plus. I'm just gonna put it here. You can give it blue, for example. And you can just copy this and paste it for everyone, and just change this I from 0 to 1 for the values, not for this one. 2, for example, has 1. 3, for example, has 2. 4, 3, 5, 4. 6, 5, and 7, house number 6. This is for just changing the colors. We need a function for saving as well. For the settings, at save, we're just gonna say player prefs dot set int ms, which stands for mouse sensitivity, equal to 0, for example, which is at house number 0. You can just copy this one as well and paste it on everyone. This one is actually 1. This is for saving the mouse sensitivity data and load it in the next scene. You guys see, just give it the different numbers. for the save function. So what it does is when we click on this button, it's going to reset every color, make everything white. Again, it's going to check for which button we clicked. For example, if we've clicked MS raw image number 7, it will make all of them blue. If you actually want to know how you can change your mouse sensitivity, you can get to a video which is going to be shown on top of your screen right now, or you can get to the link in the description. I explain everything. You can change the value of the mouse sensitivity from your virtual camera. So that's it. Let's go and check it out. For MS1, we need an unclick for all of them. So select all the buttons, go to this unclick and press on this. You can just select all of them and just drag and drop this one here, and you're gonna give all of them their value. For example, select your code MS1, MS2, you go to your no function. I've given all their values. Let's go and check it out. Actually, as you can see, when I press this, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go and check if this sensitivity save data is actually saved. We're gonna again go to our scene number 1. We're gonna create another text for MS. I'm just gonna put it a little bit upper than this. I'm just gonna say MS. It's just gonna show us a number, language fix. Then we're just gonna say MS. And the text we created, I'm just gonna create a new text. I'm just gonna say public text, MS text. Down here we're just gonna say ms text is equal to player prefs.getInt ms dot to string. You don't have to do this part, it's just for testing. I'm just gonna take a number and make it a string so I can show inside this text. I'm just gonna give my ms text to my code, and I'm gonna go to my actual start menu and check this out. So as you can see, English, start, new game. As you can see, it is by default on 5. So we're gonna give the mouse sensitivity a default value for when we start the game. The default value will be given in the start menu text. In our actual start menu text, this void start, we're just gonna say ms value, default value. We're just gonna say player prefs dot set int, give it the value of ms, a value of, for example, 4. And for our settings menu, at the start we're just gonna activate 4 of them. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a for int I less or equal than 3, for example, because house number 4, I plus plus. We're just gonna make the colors blue here. We're just gonna say ms images dot color equal to color dot blue, which is gonna give it a default value at the start. And for example, I said 4 of them should be activated, so I'm just gonna activate the raw image from house number 0 to house number 3, because 0, 1, 2, 3 are actually 4. Press English and settings. As you can see, by default 4 of them are activated. I'm gonna press, for example, this one and go back and actually start this. As you can see, it's gonna show 0 because we selected the raw image house number 0. And let's actually see. By default again is as 4. For example, I choose this one, and when we go here, it's gonna show 5, as you can see. So this was the ending of creating a start menu. The start menu that I actually used in my own game. I told you guys the way to create it. You can use the things I said and make it be more beautiful. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, a like would be amazing. I can subscribe to see more contents like this. I'm gonna go create something for the end of the video, as I did in all my videos. So this is what I created for the end of the video. I hope you like it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.